What's up, everybody? Give me a second. Get this in the cradle. All right. And every time I say this thing is lined up, and then I look at it later and it looks like this is crooked, I'm looking at my phone screen, and this edge, the green, is exactly straight. But we'll see. For some reason, it just doesn't ever seem to stay that way. Anyway. Today's message is what I love and hate about Alox knives. And it's kind of like an ask. I may even I'm sure they've heard it before, but I got a couple more Alox knives. I really am digging Swiss Army knives lately. Yeah, I've got my Rookies and some others, but they're just so big and heavy for what they are. They're not really pocket friendly. And I'll tell you, the one that's kind of been the star of the show lately in my pocket has been this little guy. But I like the Alox better. They're a little bit taller, and the blades are a little bit taller as a result. Now, the downside of that is it comes at the expense of having back tools. While they are longer this way, and the blades are taller, and they're thicker, and it's a more premium. The action's nicer, the spring's nicer. It's just a more substantial little knife. It's definitely more of a hard use knife. Whereas this one, I don't think I'm going to break it anytime soon, but it's not going to take the kind of beating that the Alox will. Having thicker blades, having, it looks like the liners in here are stainless steel instead of aluminum, so there's more strength there. The blades are thicker, more strength. Instead of plastic, you got aluminum, hard anodized aluminum. It's just a much nicer knife. The problem is you get it a little bit longer and you get the taller blade, but you give up the back tools because they're not made wide enough. And this is it's like if I could get them to make one knife. I love my Alox Hunter. It's a nice big, again, heavy, good camping knife. That'd be a kind of a good shit hits the fan, knife. It's a really big knife. I think it'd take a pretty good beating. Again, stainless steel, thick blade, stainless steel liners, aluminum over that, steel rivets. It's a nice, tough knife that's very thin, slips right in a pocket really nicely. And I love these Alox, but here's the problem. I cannot find an Alox knife that has the pliers. So what Alox knives do I have? Well, I got the big Hunter, and the knives that I am carrying a lot lately, if I can get away with the big knife, depending on what kind of shirts or pants I'm wearing, then I'll take the Hercules. If I'm trying to go a little more discreet, then I've got my Deluxe Tinker that's got scissors, it's got screwdrivers, it's got everything, pliers. In my Alox, I've got, I don't remember which one's the Farmer X and which one's the Pioneer X. I don't remember which one's which. The difference between them is they both have scissors, they both have an awl, they both have the large spear blade. I mentioned scissors. They both have the this little guy right here, the can opener that has a small screwdriver that in a pinch you can usually use it for a Phillips, although it's not going to be as secure. And if you're really torquing something, you could probably bend that easier than you would a Phillips bit. And then of course you've got the can opener with the flathead screwdriver, which actually does work real well. This one also has a saw. So maybe this is the Pioneer. I don't know. One's a Farmer X, one's a Pioneer. Then I've also got the slimmer ones, which fit really nicely in the pocket. I mean, if you really want to go discreet and more gentlemanly, less tool time and more gentlemanly, I've got the Electrician, which has the blade, has an awl, and then it's got the can opener screwdriver. Bottle opener screwdriver. And then it's got the small blade here, which, let's see, let's close that. You got your small blade, which is good for utility cuts. It's also got that piece there for helping strip wire and stuff like that. And then we got the newest one that I picked up, which is, I guess if there was a bug out version of a knife from Victorinox, it'd be this little guy. And it's just the Model 1 or something like that. Anyway, and it's just got the basic pen blade. Really nice, really stiff spring. Doesn't have a half stop. Do these have half stops? It's weird. No, they don't. Some knives do and some don't. I guess some of these have half stops. I'm thinking of my Rough Riders. I like this one a lot. I mean, if you're going for, if you want a Swiss Army knife type that's nice and strong, again, stainless steel, aluminum, thicker blade than the others. It's a nice little knife. Very thin, very discreet, very good and slicey. It for a slip joint, it's got a pretty damn stiff spring there. So yeah, you still have to be careful. You wouldn't want to stab it in like that. You'd probably want to angle it up a little bit to risk, to reduce the risk of it closing on your fingers. Here's what I want. And I just don't think there's a way to make it. I mean, I'm sure someone's made Alox type scales or something like that that you could put on this, but I like the thicker blades. I like the stainless steel spacers. I like just the more robust premium feel. When you open this and you close that, it is a much nicer premium. This is okay, but this feels more like a little Swiss Army knife. It's got a lot more blade flex. It's a quality knife. But if I could have something like this, I would trade the saw for a pair of pliers. But I don't know if they can do that unless there's somebody out there. And the other thing is that these, because they don't have the back space, where you can put the tools on the back, you don't have the Phillips screwdriver. If I could get an Alox knife in this size, that basically was this. I mean, that's what I would want. I would want a Deluxe Tinker, or maybe even go one wider and add the saw. And now you have you have your own pocket survival tool. The other thing with the Alox is that you do not get the tweezers. You do not get the toothpick. Now, I'm going to keep the tweezers on this, but I will be getting a fire stick. So I can have that in there and pull out, one of the tools. And if I was in a situation, had to start a fire, I could start a fire. That's a cool little tool set to have in your pocket where, just as an EDC tool, you're going about your day, you're kind of ready for almost everything. And I really love this, whatever it is, the Farmer Alox or the Pioneer Alox. I just feel it's just a more robust version, but not having pliers, which I find uses for all the time, and not having the damn Phillips screwdriver. I know I can use this, but I also know that I'll either strip the head or I'll bend that tip or something. Can you use it in a pinch on certain size Phillips? Yes, but it's not going to work better than that, okay? It's not going to work better than, let's see, which one do I have to remove? The pliers, and then flip that out. And I've got an actual screwdriver. And then there's another one that's longer and thinner for like smaller screws. These are purpose built for that kind of stuff, but they're so big and chunky. If you want to keep it small and discreet, I really wish that they would make a version of an Alox knife that came with a proper Phillips. And it could just be that one size. And it added in the tweezers and the, I don't know why I'm struggling over toothpick. Because I keep on saying fire stick, because that's what I'm going to get. But I don't know if they used to make those, if there's like vintage versions, because I think with some of the knives, like the one-handed Trekkers without the serrated blade, they used to make them and now they don't anymore. So I think there's probably some things out there that are no longer made, but maybe they were at one time. I prefer to have a new knife, but I guess if I could find a mint one. But something tells me that somebody, if they have it, they'll probably want a damn fortune for it. But I do like this little Model 1. I mean, that is just a nice, it's like 1.7 ounces. If you just need something small, you live in a country where having a one-handed opening knife or a locking knife like a bug out, isn't feasible for you. And so it has to be slip joint and it has to be two-handed opening. But you just need a blade and you need something super thin. This little Alox is amazing. There is no wiggle. I mean, everything is super tight. Even though this feels dainty, you can get a whole hand on it and do some cutting. And I feel like you could do a decent amount of work with that thing's tough enough that it would take a pretty good beating. The best part, it's $22 for an Alox. Got them off Amazon with shipping, was like $23. Sales tax was like $23. This is probably what I'm gonna give out for like people for like Christmas presents, like friends, throw them a knife or something. I'm just gonna buy a handful of these because it'd be cool if I can find other colors too. Because it really is a sweet little blade. You need something you could throw in a shirt pocket. Like this thing you could hide anywhere. and give you in an emergency situation, whatever, you got a little knife to use. And you don't have to worry about, I mean, here I can carry whatever I want. I can carry switchblades, but if you do live in states or countries that don't allow that kind of stuff, I can't think of a better low price, quality name brand with a warranty, tough little slip joint knife that's just the right size and super discreet, where the blade is under 3 inches, so you won't run into a foul of knife laws with that. It's a slip joint, so you won't run into a problem with that. It's not one-handed opening, so you don't have to worry about that. It's a fantastic little blade. I'd say the closest I found to my ideal pocket knife really are these when it comes to the tool sets. And this works really well. And it's a good knife. And it's got all the tools that I need. I just sort of wish it had the Alox version. I think that little bit of extra toughness premium, this gets scratched up real easy and it works. But I really just love Alox. I think these are absolutely fantastic. This one's a nice one, the Electrician. The options are more limited. You don't get as many choices in the Alox as you do with the standards. But if I was going to pick up one Alox, taking out this big-ass Hunter, just as a more of a, I'd say you got to go with just the slim Swiss Army knife version of a bug out. Go with the Model 1. And then I'd say you go for, I think this one is the Farmer. This, I think, is the Alox folding that has the most tools. Doesn't have the pliers. It doesn't have the Phillips head screwdriver. But it does have scissors and an awl and a blade and a saw. So it packs the most punch in a small package, but it's still not quite what I want. So if anybody knows, or if there's a service out there, I know you can get custom of these made where you can buy the knife or send a person the knife and he's got all the tools and the rivets and all that stuff to take it apart and change out tools or change the scales and do some things. If you know anybody that does that with Alox, and if anyone has ever successfully transported over, I would want this and I would want this. And so if I had to get the bigger one here and sacrifice the saw and keep the scissors, I don't know how they would fit it. They might have to add an extra layer. Maybe that would be it. If they've got spare layers in a longer rivet, there's no reason why you couldn't add an extra layer to the knife and incorporate, some of these tools. That back spring would be wider. Maybe that's an option. Maybe someone with the right tool set could drill those rivets out and reconfigure this and turn a Farmer X Alox into basically a Deluxe Tinker. It might just make it wider. Anyway, that's my thoughts on Alox. I love the knives, but man, the options are limited, and it just seems, I guess what's frustrating and what my gripe with Victorinox is they have so many combinations, but they don't have if I could say this would be the 2 or 3, and I think I'll touch a lot of people that would kind of agree, there's like 2 or 3 configurations. If you had to pick one from the big, one from the Alox and one from this, and say, here's the perfect tool set combination I would want for maximum versatility, but minimum size. They just don't make it. You get it, but then it has a corkscrew instead of a Phillips. And then you get the other one and it has everything you want. It has the Phillips, but it has a saw instead of the pliers. That's the problem, I guess, with having so many tools. There's only so many combinations that they can come up with. But anyway, I know this was supposed to be more of a review of this, but what are you going to say? It's just a small slip joint. It's really nice. It's awesome. It's cheap. I'll put the link in there. But come on, Victorinox, man. I'm begging. It would be awesome to take this and add a Phillips screwdriver and an extra layer for a pair of pliers. Damn, that would be a sweet-ass knife. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Not exactly a knife rant, but whatever. We'll talk to you folks later.